The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's forming a phonic.
Yo, comedian Michael Jr. here. As you know, I just flat out enjoy doing comedy. But one of the things I love way more than that is being a dad. Not too long ago, I'm going through some video footage and I run into this video of my youngest daughter being born. Now, of course, I was there. I actually took the video, but I had never really experienced it from this perspective before. Now look, we're in the hospital room. She's sticky and she's baby and all that stuff, and she's in the middle of crying. And then I speak up. I start talking to her, and watch how she responds when she hears my voice. It's okay, Portland. Look, I'm right here. It's okay. It's okay. I'm right here. I'm right here. We're doing just fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm right here. Right here. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay, baby. It's okay. That was pretty awesome. So check it. A few minutes later, the nurse starts working on her, puts her pamper on her, and I'm not saying anything, and she actually starts to cry again. Then I speak up, she hears my voice, and stops crying. Like again. But I want you to notice what else happens after I tell her that I love her.
Mom hold you.
Portland, it's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's good. It's good. I'm right here. I'm right here. I am right here. I love you. I love you. I love you. Yeah, I'm right here. I'm right here. It's okay. It's okay. That's just phenomenal. I'm like, whoa. Here's the thing. We'll always have times where we're not as comfortable, probably even to the point of tears, where life is just heavy. The key thing to do in those moments is to be still and listen for the Father's voice, because He is trying to talk to you. And I can tell you what He wants you to know is that He loves you. All you got to do is open your eyes. Happy Father's Day.
Good morning and welcome to the Blueprint podcast. Look, Michael Jr. is one of my favorite, all-time comedians, man. Now, if you get a chance, man, make sure you check out Michael Jr., man. When I'm in a certain place, mentally, and because the scripture, the Bible, one of the best scriptures in the Bible says that the joy of the Lord is your strength, right? And so sometimes we get ourselves in a mindset, right, where we can't move forward, and we're living in a day and age in which we're dealing with mental health issues. We're coming through a pandemic. So many things, life things are happening in the family, right? And we just get bogged down in what I consider is the cares of this life, right? And check out this is powerful. But the joy of the Lord is your strength. So when I get in a place where I feel like, man, I'm stuck, man, I go to Michael Jr., man, and I could have heard something that he's done over and over again, man. I could just listen to it and I could just laugh, right? You have no idea of the importance of laughter, of the importance of enjoying life, right? Waking up and saying, man, I'm going to really enjoy this life. Yeah, there are going to be challenges when I wake up, but when I wake up, man, God's going to find a way to move these issues and take me to a place where I can bring joy into the experience. So man, look, happy Father's Day, man. I'm I just want to start out by saluting and honoring fathers, and particularly fathers that have made a commitment to their wives, and a commitment and responsibility to their children and to their grandchildren. I mean, I want to say happy Father's Day to all the fathers on the screen right there, man. My my father, my father-in-law, my brothers-in-laws, my brothers, man. Happy Father's Day. You guys are amazing. You guys are you're in the fight for your kids. And I want to say happy Father's Day to you, and to our young, godsons and nephews, man, and son-in-laws that, once they get married, to your daughters, they no longer son-in-laws. They just your sons. Right. So, I got nephews, man, up here, man, that, man, Jamal, Omar, Michael, Steve, Nelson, man. I mean, Dakari, man, some of the names, woo. Well, I'm gonna say happy Father's Day to all you guys, man. I love you, man. You guys are simply the best, right? I know that's like a song, but you guys are simply the best, man. Let me challenge you, man. Fatherhood is not easy. If it was easy, then everybody could do it, right? So I say put in the work, put in the time, be present, man, and it is your responsibility to make sure that because your children are God's gift to you, right? And your responsibility is to equip them. Now that's gonna be challenging. We're gonna tell them and I ain't gonna do it, and they got their own mindset, and that's okay. Right. When they started bugging out like that, I know I got a remnant for that. You know what the remnant is? Man, I'm going down in prayer, man. I'm gonna say, Lord, these children you gave me, man, Lord, I'm gonna take it as far as I could. Now I'm gonna pray for them, right? I'm gonna continue to give them advice, but Lord, you got them. So you got them now. So let's move forward. Let's move forward here. I definitely want to, start off with my book of the week. Yeah. Eton Thomas. Yeah. He has the book out called Fatherhood, rising to the ultimate challenge, right? Forwarded by Coach Tony Dundy. Eton and I have met several years ago. He's going to be my guest, one of my guests in the future. He's doing his daddy thing, right? He's following. Today, his son is one of the elite high school basketball players in the country, and so he's at the AAU tournament, and he's following his sons and his daughter, who's a wonderful volleyball player, and he's doing his thing. But get his book. I have his book called Fatherhood. Amazing. Well, we won't talk about his story now, but amazing activist, man of God, and a family man. So make sure you get his book Fatherhood. And then the word of the week is honor. We certainly honor all the fathers today. And it says, if you need it defined, then you don't have it, right? If you need it to define, you don't have it. So, hey, I believe every man that we will talk to and talk about today, man, have honor. And I thank them for having honor in their lives. And so we also honor you today on this Father's Day. And then the affirmation Right. I like this. It says this is the Hill and Pierce Harper affirmation and quote moment. When when life gives you more than you can stand, kneel. That's I go back to that prayer, right? When life gives you more than you can stand, kneel, right? And I always hear Denzel say, every night when you go to bed, right, take your slippers, right, and put them all the way underneath the bed. So when you get up in the morning, you got to get on your knees first, right, to get those slippers. You need to be thankful to God each and every morning that you wake up, right, because He's been good to you. So again, that's my affirmation. And then here is my music, right, and movie for the week, right. Beyonce had a song out called Daddy. I truly enjoyed the song as she speaks about her father, and she mentions in it, if I was ever to, you know, have this experience with the man, I would want him to be like my father my daddy, and very powerful piece. If you never listen to it, take the opportunity to do it. And then my movie is Not Easily Broken. We were watching it the other day. Um, awesome movie, man. It's one for the not way in the past, but it is in the past. But every now and then you got to watch good movies, right? Because there's a whole lot of junk being played out there now. But man, good sound movies, good, well written movies. It is important to what you listen to is important, and what you look at and listen to is important as well. So, and that's my movie and music of the week. And then finally, I want my person of the week is Satchel Paige. I mean, Satchel Paige, you got to go way back. You got to go way back to old Negro League when, African American baseball players could not play in the regular baseball league, right? And Satchel Paige was an awesome, awesome baseball player, pitcher, right? An amazing pitcher. He could do some amazing things with the ball. And eventually, when the color line was broken, Satchel Paige became a rookie. Now, here it is. I think rookie in his 40s, right? And he was actually rookie of the year. I mean, can you imagine? We keep complaining about a guy being, oh man, he 30, he old, right? I mean, he 35, he old, right? Now, Satchel Paige into Major League Baseball at 40 and dominated at 40. I mean, look, man, you put the number there, right? But you ain't got to act like the number, right? I mean, somebody said, oh, you 60. You ain't got to act like that, man. You have to take care of yourself and do the things necessary in order for you to keep moving. But this is mine. This is your mind over matter, right? So hey, get the stepping, man. Satchel was pitching at 40. So and then happy birthday to Royce. Man, Royce, I want to say happy birthday, man. And enjoy it, man. There's a lot of birthdays, but happy birthday, Royce. Take care of them kids. Take care of my niece, man. I know you're taking care of me. I don't have to worry about that, man. But happy birthday, enjoy it. And then a happy birthday to Kala, man. Kala, hope you enjoyed it, man. Hope you got out and did something on your birthday, man. Hope you had some fun, man. And then Malia, 9 years old. Malia, I want to say happy birthday to Malia. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I don't think we cut, did we? I don't think we got together and cut some cake with Malia, but I want to say happy birthday to you. Love you. And now we're going to celebrate it today, but Dakota is turning 3. Man, where did time go? And tomorrow is his birthday on Father's Day. Woo, that's cool, man. Pop buddy celebrating Father's Day on Dakota's birthday. That's just perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy that. So yeah. And I think that is it for the shout outs. I had to show as we transition. And just before I introduce my guests, I got a few guests today, but we're going to talk about an important subject, which is the importance of father and fatherhood, right? But before we do this, right, I have to show you this. You know, I don't own it. I don't own the video, but I had to show it to you because it's so powerful for this Father's Day. And really, let me say this before I show this video. It's challenging to be parents today, right? Not just for the things that we're going to go through or that our kids are going to experience in this now life, right? It's extremely challenging, right? But when you truly love your kids, right, there is absolutely nothing that you would not do for them, right? Protect them, give them what's necessary, absolutely nothing, regardless of the challenges that we might face, right? There's absolutely nothing that we won't do for our kids. So, and that is what fatherhood and let me say parents, right? And I want to say, because we're celebrating fathers, mothers have just been wonderful, but it should be absolutely nothing that you won't do to protect your kids, make sure they're safe, and love them. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing that you won't do for them, right? Because God has given you this privilege to have your kids. So check this out about a super father, and then I'll introduce my guests.
This morning in our series, Pushing the Limits, we revisit a father and son's inspiring journey to some of the toughest triathlon courses in the world. We introduced you to Jeff and Johnny Agar in November. 7 months later, lead national correspondent David Bagneau reunited with the dynamic duo ahead of Father's Day to pull off an incredibly special surprise.
There they are. It's so good to see you. Look at that dude. Hey, man. How are you? Can I give you a hug?
Oh, yes.
Good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely good to see you. Thanks for coming. Glad we didn't scare you off too much.
No, it's good to be back.
There is no chance, Johnny Agar. We fell in love with the Agar family when we first met them last November.
Is there a better man than your dad?
I've yet to find one for me.
For a story about Jeff and Johnny,
Home stretch, Daddy.
father and son triathletes. 29-year-old Johnny was born with cerebral palsy.
Johnny. There you go. That a boy.
It is a muscle disorder that makes it impossible for him to walk without assistance.
Look at you. There you go.
But with the help of his hero, Johnny has paved his way in the most unlikely of sports. It's one that Jeff takes on for both of them.
I believe I can fly.
When he bikes, he hauls him. When he swims, he pulls Johnny. And when he runs, he pushes him.
Mom's cooking when we get home.
Jeff told us back in November, for his son, it's all worth it.
I mean, I'm not a fan of swimming, biking, or running, so which is perfect for triathlon. So this probably wouldn't be in the top 100 things I would select to do. I'm not doing it because I love it. It wasn't like a dream of mine. This is Johnny's dream. I'm just giving him the legs and the power to do it.
It has become Johnny's passion, and that has led him and his father to Ironman races. Those are the toughest of endurance events.
All right, so make some noise for PCF during the water.
Team Agar has a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a 26.2-mile run, and they have to finish it all in under 17 hours.
Let's go, Dad. Let's go.
Well, why even try it, you may be wondering? To prove what Ironman's mantra is. Anything is possible.
Work out there.
Now look, they failed the first 5 times they tried to finish an Ironman in the time allowed. But on the 6th attempt, they did it. And look who crossed that finish line. That victory last September inspired Johnny's dream to one day cross the finish line at what is considered to be the Super Bowl of triathlons, the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. Now, teams like the Agars need to be invited to compete. And guess what? Ironman wants to extend that offer for a team they say personifies the spirit of the sport. And they decided to let us break the news. So we planned a trip back to Michigan, but we told him it was for a Father's Day surprise.
So in the time since we first met to date, have you had any new epiphanies, any new aha moments? You know, maybe a question I asked that you, long after I were gone, were like, here's one I thought, anything.
The feedback on social media is a bit overwhelming. I find the things that hit me the hardest is that people will comment that, you know, I don't do anything with my kids. And here's this guy doing this, and I should be able to do so much more. Well, I hope that just inspires fathers to believe you can do more. You don't have to be a great father. You just have to do better than you are today.
Just to see how Dad wants to succeed and wants to put in the work to be able to get me across the finish line really inspires me.
Okay.
Now, in the spirit of our Father's Day theme, I asked the Agars to record a message for all the dads out there.
Hello, America. We're the Agar family. I'm Jeff.
I'm Johnny.
Becky, Annie,
and I'm Gracie.
And we want to wish all fathers a happy Father's Day.
That was so good! You guys, they nailed it on one. Okay, do you feel good about that?
Yeah.
Can we watch it back, by the way? Ready?
For this moment, we got a little help from a Hall of Fame quarterback who happens to be one of Johnny's favorite athletes.
Hey, Agar family, Peyton Manning here. Listen, rumor has it you're a big fan of mine. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. But I'm a big fan of yours as well. You guys are incredible. You're a true inspiration. Now, I've heard there's a big dream that you're hoping to achieve together. Well, why don't we make that dream come true right now? On behalf of Ironman, it is my honor to share with you that Team Agar has earned an official invite to the 2024 Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. Congratulations, good luck, and I'll be rooting for you the whole way.
You guys are
Oh my gosh. It is toasty warm out today.
Starting now, Team Agar has 16 months to beef up their training for the World Championship, and Ironman sent us their official ticket to Kona.
There we go, Johnny.
When I hopefully walk across that finish line, I'm going to put every ounce of energy that I have. It's going to be really, really special for me.
Mm-hmm. Good job, bud.
Thank you so much.
Johnny and Jeff. They have what no other triathlete in this sport has when they compete.
Knees up, head high, buddy.
Each other.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too, bud.
Oh my God. David, talk about pushing the limits. Try not to cry. Try not to tear up with that playing. And you nailed that surprise, the misdirection, the fooling with the Father's Day theme. I mean, take me into the room with you. What was that like?
Tony, don't tempt me with a good surprise, man. It was an absolute joy. And I'll tell you, I'm feeling optimistic this morning, so I'll say this. When they cross the finish line in Hawaii, in the time allowed, they will be only the third team in Ironman's nearly 50-year history to cross the finish line at the World Championship.
So unbelievably gorgeous. So
this is
beautiful.
why I don't watch David Begnaud pieces in public.
You ugly cry. David, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We'll be rooting them on.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. I mean, hey, I want to welcome Dr. Jim Bostic, you know, to the Blueprint, man. And, you know, I was just thinking about the joy. I mean, you could say it, the joy I got from fatherhood and get from fatherhood. Man, let me hear what you have to say, man.
Well, first of all, good morning to you, my brother, and thank you for having me on your podcast. There is no greater joy than to be a father. I have been blessed over my life not only to be a father of a son and a daughter. My son, of course, is deceased now. But in the 33 years I had with him, it was the most remarkable thing that I've ever experienced in my life, and I've been blessed more than most, as you know, just as you have. And to be able to father him up until that point in his life, and of course our daughter, who is just a remarkable woman, now is just the best. But more importantly, Lois, you know, God has given me the inclination and the desire and the will to father countless other numbers of children who are coming from homes where unfortunately the father is absent. And that has, in its own way, been equally as much a joy to me to hear people who are not of your bloodline call you dad, because you deposited in their life. And to me, that's one of the greatest joys, that I've experienced in my life as well.
Yeah, and it yeah, you said it well, man. I mean, on this Father's Day, man, we honor those fathers, man, and who are responsible, and we had a conversation about this on yesterday, talking about the importance of fatherhood and the many dimensions of fathers. I mean, as you we stated that there's some people that don't have fathers in their lives, but talk a little bit about coming in again, add to it, to become a mentor, to become a coach. You take on that responsibility, because for so many years, I was asked to be a big brother. I was asked to be a mentor, and unconsciously I was doing those things, and people just think that when you take on that responsibility, that it's just, oh, that take a kid out on the weekend. Some 30, 40 years later, man, of people that it's ongoing with young that men now. I can't even call, they may be still younger than me, but call you with asking for advice, calling you with concerns. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it mentoring, just being in the life of a child just for a few minutes, for a couple of weekends, is not mentorship. I mean, it does not end. I mean, when you coaching, it does not end. It just keeps going, man. It keeps giving. So yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, Lowe's. It's if you're getting into mentorship and you're getting into it with parameters, meaning that you're putting a time frame on it, then that's not mentorship. Mentorship has no boundaries, it has no limits, and it lasts a lifetime, just as long as if you had a biological child. You're that father to that child, until God calls you home, or vice versa. And it's the same thing with mentorship. There's no different. In fact, I tell men that are thinking about going into mentorship that you have to think about being a mentor in the same way, in many cases, as you think about being a father. Because in essence, for many of the young men that you are fortunate enough to mentor into their life and to seed into their life, you are going to be the only father that they've ever had in their entire life. And so the closer your relationship becomes, the more they're going to eliminate or erase that term called mentorship. And they're going to literally look at you as if you were partly responsible for birthing them. And so you have to be willing to take on that responsibility. And it is a joy. And I have to say, I couldn't put on a calculator how many young men I've mentored in my life. But you don't God gives you the wherewithal to be able to mentor them all. Whether or not, it's not like, well, I got 3 young men now that I'm mentoring and I got my own family. I can't do no more. God gives you the energy, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be able to take on as many as need your services. And so I have been amazed at the lives that God has allowed me to touch over the years and are still touching, as you say, Lowe's, well into their adult years. And some of them are grandfathers now, and they're literally, still calling me, for advice. Some call me Pop, some call me Dad, all of those affectionate terms. And I accept all. I was at a point, years ago, when they used to call me Pop, I was silly enough, not to want to accept that term, because I'm like, I ain't no Pop, man. I'm a young brother. I'm still got a little, I didn't realize what they were really saying to me, by calling me that. But as I've gotten older and wiser, and God has, wisened me up quite a bit, it's a term of endearment. And certainly I received it, and I feel it's such an honor to be called that. Plus, it brings you so much joy when you see a life that you've touched outside of the realm of your biological child, that you've been able to help mold and shape into a responsible young man, and even father, and in some cases grandfather.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment really to say thank you, man, for because I watched your, we've known each other for a long time, and yeah, I watched your walk. I mean, in terms of, some people talk about it, right? I had a friend up here, older gentleman, that used to say, "Man, don't talk about it, be about it, man." That was his words, and so what's up, Dakota?
Yeah, that's what it's all about right there.
Yeah. and so Hartley, good morning.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's a great interruption.
Yeah. So let's talk real, quickly about, not quickly, but about, like, man, as you've seen through the years, and you've had being the executive director of the Nepaham Community Center, and even before that, my wife, when she first came out of college, worked for you around in the social service area.
Mm-hmm.
And and do you think that the challenge for fatherhood, right, back then, and the challenges of today, have they gotten better? I mean, are we do young men have a clear understanding of being responsible as men, and better in the position to make good choices, and not have just lay down with a young lady, or has it gotten worse? That now is there more of an increase of single parent homes, fathers, or because anybody can become a father, right? So they're having these children. Are they more responsible today, or is it an epidemic? I mean, is it a crisis when it comes to the fathers that we're talking about, the mentors we're talking about? Is it worse than it was back then? Because you've been in this for a long time.
Well, thank you for that question, man, and for your kind comments. Let me say this, man. I'm gonna go biblical on you, okay? as time goes on, the Bible says people and life is going to become more and more perverse. And years ago, our young men and boys were not exposed to as much that they're so easily exposed to today. The advent of technology has brought into the life of our children some of the most perverse things in society that there is. And too often we see that parents, particularly not only single parents, but even two family parents, they've allowed technology to be the babysitters for their children. So they buy them an iPad and they buy them an iPhone, and they allow them the privilege of going in their rooms and going surfing the web and the internet and all of these things. And they can literally pull up every perverse thing that you can possibly think of in the world. And consequently, that is negatively impacting this generation. And so, in my personal opinion, this generation needs more attention. They need men that are willing to deposit into their life, because they have to counteract the negativity or the perverse things that they're seeing out of society, which makes those things seem like it's okay to do. In other words, if you don't have sex by a certain age, there's something wrong with you in today's society. And those kinds of mentalities and thought processes are perpetrated over and over again in our young people. You see it in every sitcom that you look at on television. So they have to have somebody, a male figure in their life, along with mom, obviously, who's critical, to begin to educate them to what they're looking at and to how to digest it and to put it in a place, but not to make it a part of their lifestyle. Too many of them are making it a part of their lifestyle without the benefit of having somebody telling them that this is counterproductive, this is self-destructive behavior that you're about to engage in. Getting a young lady pregnant, having sex. I just yesterday, Lowe's, I was on the phone with a member in my church, and she told me that a friend of hers has a little daughter who's 14 years old. And she's raising the child as a single mom. And she left the house. The child was going to leave the house right after to catch the school bus. But something she forgot at home. She came back to the house and she found her 14-year-old girl naked in bed having sex with a 15-year-old young man. Now, she was supposed to be on the school bus, but yet this is what they engage in at that age. Now, that's not 14 to 15. We say, well, but they're even doing it at younger, or at least experimenting with it at even younger ages than that. And so there has to be a counteracting voice, a strong voice that says this is improper behavior and this is not what you do to young ladies. And if you're going to have sex with her, you better make sure you put a ring on her finger, or she has a ring, or whatever the case may be. But certainly, you don't want your young men engaging in sex. And I have to tell you, if you go to any high school or middle school, which I've worked in and through for many, many years, you'd be hard pressed to find a young man that hadn't had sex. I'm talking about starting with 10th, 11th, 12th, 9th graders, 8th. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a young man that hasn't had some kind of a sexual experience with a young girl. And that suggests to me times are getting worse, which is why there is such a critical need for men to step up, not only be willing, obviously, to be the father to your own children that you're supposed to be, but to be willing to say, you know what, I'm going to extend myself to help out another family who may not have a father in the home, but that has a son, even a daughter, but a son in particular that is going to need to have a positive male influence in their life. And I have to encourage, and while you've given me this moment on your show, every brother out there, man, that if you haven't mentored somebody, you're missing out on a great experience, a really tremendous experience, and more importantly, a tremendous impact that you can have on the life of a young man who's really crying out in their own way for a positive male influence in their lives.
Yeah, and then sometimes it may be, I find with men, just because we always think of it first of all in oh, there's a kid out there, but I don't really know those kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the simple practices is, you have nephews, you have cousins. I mean, that you could speak to right in family, people you're already speaking to already. You already have a relationship with them, and the dialogue sometimes may be about girls, it may be about sports or movies or video games or whatever it is, but sometimes you got to stop and have real conversations.
Yeah.
And hear what your cousin is saying, hear what your nephew is saying. And when they say something that is not in what you consider, hopefully you built some values.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you thinking about what the future looks like. Because I don't even think we think about process. Now back in the day, I could say this, even though I know for a fact that many of them didn't fulfill whatever the process was, it was like, hey man, you can't have sex until you get married. Right. And in order to get married, number one, you got the court. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find somebody you're going to talk to, you're going to spend some time with, you're going to build a relationship with, and then eventually somewhere down the road you're going to get married, right?
Yeah.
And then somewhere down the road you're going to get. You don't even hear that anymore, man. And there's no such thing as we don't do shotgun weddings. I mean, like oh you got a pregnant, oh you get married. No, that's not going to work either, right? But the thing is understanding process, for young men to wake up from when they're born. You're starting to have these conversations with not only your young men, your sons, but you're having it, because sometimes we only have it with us. We'll have it with our sons, and we won't talk to our daughters. But they both need, which brings me to another situation, because I'm sure in people's mind, as we speak, we're thinking about young men and the impact that fathers have or don't have on their sons, right? But talk a little bit about the impact on the daughters. What impact not having a father, that mentor, to be able to speak into the lives of your daughter. We know we need it for young men, but talk a little bit about daughters, the process why daughters need fathers and why fathers are important to their daughters.
So let me just say that all children need the duality of love, meaning that they need love from both mom and they need love from dad. And when you have a young girl who does not have a father in that home, there is a void there that, as much love and attention that a mom gives, cannot be filled by mom when the father's not there. There's something about a father's love for his daughter that only a father can give. And so when that void is there, as that girl becomes older, there's that oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes inherent desire to search out and to find that love, that male love somewhere and from somebody. Now, sometimes it can be from an uncle. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it could be, from some male figure in the family that is very closely, knit and recognizes that the father's not there, and they step in and they provide that. But that's the exception more than the rule. When that void is there, too often that young girl goes out and she tries to find love from a male, but in all the wrong places. So the first male that comes along that, I'm going to use the word, deceives her into thinking that he really loves her, she's going to have a tendency to kind of migrate toward that person, that male, because she's had that inner desire to have the love from that strong, protective male figure. And that's how we see so many of our young girls end up in relationships with guys pregnant at early ages when they don't have that father in the family, because the void that's left by the father, they're hoping to find it in a male. Unfortunately, the male that they find out there has other motives, and consequently, we find the pregnancy rates are going up. Now, what I will say, Lowe's, is that the pregnancy rates have, from my understanding, been going down a little bit. It may not seem that way to us in the community, but actually overall, the pregnancy rates are going down a little bit, which suggests that process could be getting a little bit better. But I do know that when there's not a male figure in the house, I'll give you an example. I grew up I'm a foster child, so the house I grew up in, the parents that took me in, he was a Pentecostal bishop, had 3 children of their own. 2 of them was girls, and one of them was my older, I became my older brother. So my sister, my older sister, got involved in a relationship with a guy who was a playboy. Now, I couldn't understand that because my father, who was a bishop, her father was a bishop, biological father, and was there 24/7. But in any event, she got pregnant, and she had a girl, and then he left her. And then she became very angry and had another. But before he left her, she had a second child, which was my nephew. And then he just left her life, and she came very bitter. In fact, she didn't even want to bring my own nephew home from the hospital. My mom said over her dead body, would she leave her grandson in that hospital? But what I noticed that happened during those years was that without that male that she get engaged in, I had to step in and kind of be the father to my niece and to my nephew. And I became, in essence, my niece's father, even though I was her uncle. And when I tell you, all through her life, she would introduce me as her uncle, who was really her father. Or you understand what I'm saying? Because I was in her life all the time, and I made sure that she had a positive male figure in her life. And that wasn't easy for me because it was during my years of college and the pros and all that other stuff. But I stayed in her life on the phone, constantly talking with her when I was in New York. Back here in New York, of course, I was always taking them with me wherever I went and those kinds of things, letting them know that she didn't have to resort to another type of a male who may not necessarily be interested in her in order to get her love and affection. So I was constantly telling her I love her, whatever she needs, for her to call me and depend upon me, because I understood the culture out here, in the streets. And it made a complete and utter difference in her life. And she grew up to be a responsible young lady, who did not get pregnant until she was up and married, that type of thing. So it made all the difference in the world to her. But I often think about what would have happened if, you know, I just went my way and just ignored the fact that, you know, her dad, you know, left her when she was very, very young. What would have been the outcome in a situation like that? I
Yeah.
remember, you know, so it's critically important for daughters to have that father, and it's not only for the love factor, but it's something about the safety factor. You know, just knowing that I got a dad, you know, that I could depend on, you know, when they out there, and, you know, you're not gonna mess with me because I got my dad at home, and he's gonna come to my rescue type of a thing, you
Yeah.
know. And so that's important to me. It's critically important.
Yeah. And you know, we got just a few more minutes here, but I was just thinking about your experience, right?
Uh,
You had several programs. I mean,
mhm,
that you were involved in terms of the state of New York,
mhm,
and receive, you know, some resources in order to provide programming for, because there's the stage of, we're now talking, how do we, you know, how do we prepare, right? How do we prevent, you know, the cycle of uh, young men that don't have guidance, or young girls who have no guidance and end up with the wrong young men. So we're talking about prevention, right? But and which you part of two programs I consider: one prevention and one intervention,
mhm,
right? So you were dealing with a program, I think the Father's Initiative,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And you had offices on, you
mhm,
know, in different places,
mhm,
on which is more of an intervention,
mhm, mhm,
right? And then you were part of a program, uh, the uh, the Obama's program,
mhm,
My Brother's Keeper
mhm,
uh, program, and which is kind of a prevention, you
mhm.
know, piece. How tough was it in regards to the intervention? You know, having fathers out there that have no connection, trying to reconnect them, trying to help them become men, how to help them understand the importance of fatherhood and why that child needs a father, right? And how to reconnect that thing. And, you know, so talk about the intervention, and then we want to end up with talking about the impact of Obama's program, My Brother's Keepers.
Yeah. So the intervention program was called Empower You. And the Empower You was taking broken families, predominantly single parent families, and re-engaging the male back into the family structure. And um, initially, it was challenging because many of the men that we were able to reach out to re-engage them in the lives of their families, um, were having a hard time in life, and their feelings were almost universally, you know, I can't take care of myself. How can I take care of a child? You know, and so part of our program was to get them to be aware of the fact that being a father was not a monetary thing. You know, they thought they had to be have a certain status, or have a certain kind of a job, or whatever the case may be. But we had to convince them and train them into understanding being a father is about being present. It's about showing love and concern and emotion for your child's welfare. If you're in your child's life on a regular basis and you're loving your child, you know, of course, everybody likes to live a good life, but they're not as concerned about how much money you got in your pocket, as they are the fact that when they look up, daddy is there. When I need the advice, daddy's there. When I need a hug, daddy's going to wrap his arms around me. And so to try to, you know, that program was very successful in getting men to understand that their role as fathers went well beyond just them having a good job and a good education, but it mostly centered around them being there, and letting their children know that they love them, and they had a father in their life that deeply was concerned about their welfare and their well-being. And so we had offices in New Rochelle, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, and White Plains, and and another one here in Yonkers beside my headquarters. And the program was extremely successful. We served, oh my God, probably 900 families, but by the time the program had concluded, that we were able to unite quite a bit. I'm going to say 3/4 of the men in those families, we were able to reunite them back into the lives of their children, and take baby steps. It doesn't have to be major, but to just take baby steps, just be there. Let them have your phone number. Maybe you and the mother's not getting along, but give them your phone number. Give them a way to reach out to you. Give them the permission to call you anytime they need to talk. Show up, as often as you can. Get permission to take them out, if nowhere but just to the mall or walk around or to a movie or whatever the case may be, and just spend some important time with them, and to nurture and develop a relationship where they feel comfortable knowing that they have a dad that loves them, cares about them, and that at a phone call or a text or whatever, my daddy's gonna be there for me because he cares about me. And so, we helped them get into some training. Not only did we reunite them, but then we helped them. A lot of them go back and get GEDs, and some of them go to some employment and training programs to develop some skill sets in order for them to be able to secure a decent job. So, the program was pretty comprehensive in the services that provided. Whereas on the other side of the coin, the Obama program was basically a mentorship program, and a program that kept young men from engaging in self-destructive behaviors such as gangs and drugs and alcohol and illicit sex and all those kinds of things. And that program was beyond successful. We took we looked at the graduation rate among African American males at the inception of the program. It was around 59-60%. 2 years later, going into the third year, it went from that to 90% of the young men in the Yonkers public schools were graduating with their diplomas, and many of them going on to colleges. And so we also had a whole wing of the Westchester County Correctional Facility, which was called the Obama My Brother's Keeper Wing. And every inmate on that entire wing was in the program, and we have provided intensive counseling for them. We got them into GED programs, and those who was able to secure their GED programs inside of the correctional facility, we were able to forge an agreement with Manhattan College, whereby they gave them a full 4-year scholarship, right, walking out of college. So, both programs did something different, but we found that we got the Black and Hispanic firefighters, the Vulcan Society, and the Yonkers Guardians, the Black police officers, and they became the mentors to these young men. And so we strategically identified young men from single-parent homes, young men that were facing challenges, some within gangs, and we paired them with one of the brothers from one of the two of those associations, and they developed strong relationships. And almost to the young man, they were able to walk away from those illicit lifestyles that they were living and self-destructive direction they were headed in, and they were able to turn themselves around and start to do positive things.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. So, Jim, I want to thank you, man. I want to get you back to your Father's Day weekend, even though you're home alone.
I'm in this room alone. I ain't home alone.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I want to say thank you, man, for taking the time, man, and I want to wish you a happy Father's Day, man. I want you to enjoy this weekend, yeah, man, throw up a good word tomorrow morning, man. Man, I love you, man, and again, thank you so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Tell the missus I love her too and your family. And I'll talk and say hello to your mom for me, man. Please.
I will do that. Yes. All right, man.
All right, peace.
So, man, yeah, I mean, you know, I just want to say, man, what a wonderful first segment to this Father's Day weekend special podcast. You know, we want to honor fathers, but we also want to be able to, you know, try to figure out how do we make more fathers. I mean, you know, good, responsible fathers, man. And then we also want to, you know, let young men out there know that, hey, look, if you're not being responsible, you know, you're a father, right? And I'll never forget this. Let me say this before we move on. I'll never forget when I had my first daughter, Michelle, and I was standing in Mount Vernon Hospital, and I was looking in the window at her, right? And there was two young men next to me, right? And he was a young man. He had to be in high school. I mean, no more than 14, 15 years old. And he's looking at the window at his son or daughter. And he's bragging to his friend. Yeah, man. That's my daughter. And I'm smiling because it's my first. I'm so excited that, you know, that my daughter was here, man. I mean, like, wow, I'm in amaze. And he's bragging like, hey, man, this is my third. And I was like, dang, he's in high school. He said, this is his third. I looked over at him. I'm like, man, you know, so you can become a father, right? But the question, can you become a dad? I mean, there's a difference between a father and a dad, you know, and so, you know, a dad's going to go farther. He's going to love the child, be responsible, you know, so forth, and whatever he has to do in order to protect and provide, he's going to do that. So, yeah, remember, this is, you know, interactive. So if you have any questions or comments, please do. And if you don't mind, you know, and you're on YouTube, just like us and subscribe. And if you're on Facebook, just like us. I mean, but we're open to comments or questions. And at this time, man, you know, I want to welcome my son-in-law. Well, I got both of them. Yeah, I got
special.
I got Dakari and Steve. Got both of them on. I got to take Dakari off of. He's on mute, but
He doesn't come off mute.
Okay. Oh, well, we can you got a mic right here, right? Got a mic right there. And I want to welcome you. First of all, I want to say thank you for getting up this morning. Yeah, I want to say thank you for getting up this morning. And, you know, I just wanted to, you know, add a little different flavor to this morning's show since we're talking about fathers. This is Father's Day weekend, right? And we're talking about fathers. And I want to say happy Father's Day to both of you guys. Right. And you know, I want to start off with the Kari, man. So, you know, you've been married, what?
4th year. This is the 4th year.
4 years, man. That went fast.
Yes, so
fast. And so talk to me about, man, you remember that picture, right? You just get married. So you were married you got married that day, or we're about to get married. And all of a sudden now, here you are in it 4 years, 2 kids. What was the thought? I mean, about now that you are not only a husband, but you are a father. I mean, talk about a little bit about your experiences as growing up with your father, your experience that, and then now being a father. Talk a little bit about about that.
Okay, so first I want to thank you, Dad, for allowing me to speak, for doing all the things that you do, and actually giving some light and shine to tomorrow. A lot of guys just think it's, oh, everything is for Mother's Day, and they don't feel like they are appreciative, or even people think about when dads are dads or fathers are present, like Mr. Bostic said, it's just, oh, you doing your job. That's what you're supposed to do. And sometimes the world doesn't acknowledge that. It's hard. It is no joke. With, especially if you're going to be present, Mr. Bostic said, to be present is just, so you got to do is be there, and then while you're there, you got to have patience, because they're gonna test your nerves, right? I walk around sometimes and I see parents, and I'm like, you ain't tell me it was gonna be like this. They get on your nerves. They stress you out. You repeat yourself so many times, and it's a part of being present that comes with being present. And the reward is when I open the door and they yell and they scream, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy!" Like that alone clears the slate. And it's, you still got to be stern. I have a daughter and a son. And people ask me about my daughter, and she got you wrapped around your finger yet? And I'm like, no, not yet. She don't really ask for much right now. And she don't know how to bat those eyes and put the face on. So my dad was a present dad. And it took a long time to, I wish he would have done more, but I didn't get to speak to him. And like, I didn't know, because I was still that child, and children are supposed to be seen, not heard. We grew stronger in the later years, but looking back, he did everything he had to do to provide for the family. So I learned that part from him, right? And then there's other parts that I used to say this. It was funny. I used to be like, I can't wait till I get old so I can curse like my daddy. It was like something we couldn't say, and it was like a child, whatever they can't get, they gonna want to get, or they gonna want to do. But he provided, and I understood what he was doing. He worked hard. He showed up at baseball games. He was stern. He was very stern, and some of those characteristics and qualities I try to apply. But like you said, when you have children, you just want them to do better than you. So Cody already is like, the competitiveness comes out of me. Even with 2 and 3 year olds, I watch them on the playground. I'm like, all right, you got to climb because he climbed. And he younger than you. Like, it's in my head. The competitiveness is in my head. But yeah, that, and just applying now my own, right? So I'm grounded, and what keeps me going is the word of God. So I'm grounded, right? I have a firm foundation to stand on. And I think actually probably I owe my wife some respect for asking me. I never ran away from church, but meeting her, she was in the church, and being invited to church, I don't have no problem going. Let's go. And in that connection, I met my current pastor, who is my spiritual father, right? And we're the same age. So it's about growth and learning, and learning is never ending. It don't matter what age you are, you can always learn from somebody. So you got to have an open mind to receive things. But that's a part that my father didn't have. He may have knew God, but before he passed, because of the man I am in Christ, I was able to assure that he knew Christ as Lord and Savior. So when he did pass on, I was comfortable and a little bit glad that I'm confident that he's sitting in heaven with our Lord and Savior.
Yeah. Before talk to me about, because you mentioned earlier in your conversation about, the lady saying how tough, this is tough. What's the challenges of being a father, and then what is the reward that you are experiencing now?
The biggest challenge, like you said, I'm in my 4th year, and these 4 years is, if you think about it, right, between engagement, I lost both of my parents. I bought a house. Me and Michelle bought a house. We have 2 kids. So me and Michelle really haven't slowed down yet. And the hardest thing about being present and being a father and a husband, I had to get domesticated. And a lot of guys, I worked a very male-dominated career, but a lot of guys, I hear their views, and it's ancient, it's outdated a little bit, right? So cleaning and taking care of things in the household, Michelle couldn't do because she was pregnant back to back, right? So those are the things you just expect a woman to do everything because they superwoman, and even when you're pregnant you could do this. So I had to cut down like comparison from like my mom or other people I seen. Like everything is different. So the hardest thing about fatherhood is really dialing in, targeting, like just being focused on yours, and of course being there. Like I said, being present is hard. I'm with my kids all the time. My work schedule allows me to be around them 24/7, basically without 2 days a week. It's almost speechless. Some things I'm just on cruise control. I'm just doing things because I'm doing them, and maybe frustration might be building up. So I need another hard part is finding somebody to release to. I could talk to Michelle, but I have you, Dad, and other men that friends of mine that actually have kids now too, that we could talk about the real things. That's life and reoccurring. And like I said, my joy is just when they say daddy, when they give me hugs, when I see little accomplishments, when Cody is saying he got to go potty and he's actually doing it. He's going and doing it by himself now. Hartley is coming down the steps by herself. Every little achievement in their life shows a reflection of what you've shown them, right? The love that you showed them, that like I make it a fact to love on Michelle, love on my wife, even if my kids are around, because they're going to know what's supposed to be done. They're going to understand and see love. And then Cody hugging Hartley, or Cody and Hartley in public places saying hi to everybody and giving hugs to little babies. And you could see it. So that's the joy. That's the payment that I've received. And that's supposed to be, it's going to go for life. That's going to be, I'm going to continue doing it, and I'm going to continue getting these little accomplishments.
Yeah.
Every step of the way.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I want to ask Steve here, I'm going to have him jump in, but you honestly have, something unique. I mean, I think every person, particularly I'll just say for a fireman,
okay,
right? You have something that, most fathers don't have when you have time.
Yeah.
When you're able to be present. So, I don't, so a lot of the details of what's happening in terms of growth of a child, I'm seeing through my grandchildren because I'm there, right? So I see it, right? Yeah. But when I had my children, except for the time that my wife had off to lay the foundation and do the nurturing, I was working, right? So I'd once my little 1-2 weeks they gave me, for maternity leave, I was back to work. And so I worked long hours. I mean, I'm, with the Boys and Girls Club, it doesn't end sometimes my job, it didn't end at 9-10 o'clock at night. So, so I was was important to me in the midst of being tired, you know, to get home and relieve my wife, regardless of how tired I was, to relieve her, because right, I was there for a few weeks to see what what you have to do when the baby's trying to get acclimated to what the real world is, and that's tough on a mother, man, because man, this crying, they don't stop. They just keep going. And then even when you there, they don't stop. I mean, you get there, you be like, oh, damn, man, I've been working all day. But you got to, but you're in the process, you're in the process of helping to nurture and help your child grow, so you being there, in the amount of time you having, you see a lot more than we do. Of course, I was wondering to see see her when she start taking that first step and then talking.
Yeah.
Right. Fortunately, I caught that, but most of the time I was working.
Okay.
Right. So you getting to see detail that most men don't get to see. As being a fireman, you get to go to the park with them, maybe after work, if I get home early enough, I can go to the park, or during the weekend, I can go to the park. But you seeing more detail. You seeing the details I see as a grandfather. You seeing now.
That helps me so much, because in this fatherhood, we need, like they say, give your flowers when you can give them. It's things like that just encourage, like it. Sometimes those things are stressful and tiring, but when you hear a grandfather, a father say how important it is that you are there, it helps me, and it will. I can actually spread that as well to other people and other fathers, because as you and Mr. Bosley was talking about mentorship, there's a lot. Like, I'm planting a lot of seeds.
Yeah.
At the workplace, and they don't understand, or they just have a different view. I'm not gonna say they don't understand.
Yeah.
But they see me, and I love it when they bring Michelle bring the kids to the firehouse, and they like, yo, man, your wife is different. And they're seeing a change. They're and all of that, God is going to get the glory. So I'm planting seeds while I go, and it's just really, I thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I'm kind of envious too, because I would think when I see you, the time you get to spend with them, I'm envious, right? Because I think about all that I missed, right? All the details that I missed that I now see as a grandfather. Right. So when you have jobs like that, yeah, man, it's, I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, he's getting to see and spend time, that my father never spent, in the little time that we had. Right. I never experienced that. I'd seen my father with my children, and I got a view. I got a view of what he would have, if he was there, what I would have experienced if he was there. So I got to see it through what he did for my kids, but I never experienced it. Right. So like you probably never experienced with your dad working. Right.
Yeah.
And if he was there every single day, then he couldn't be. I mean, it's impossible to be, because, now you need both parents working. So, I'm sure Michelle would, when she has her vacation time during the summer and she got the kids all day. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, this tiring, man. I don't know if I'm exhausted, but man, you get to experience something as a, now that you're a teacher or principal, you get to experience your kids that, my mom had a hard time doing because she was working 3 jobs.
Wow.
So, and then, so I do envy you, even though I'm on the, I'm pop, I'm getting to experience it, So Steve, check this out. You a new dad. I think you're almost coming up on a month, right?
Yeah. Month on Tuesday, I think.
So what's your thoughts about being now a dad?
It's rewarding, man. It's great. Sleepless nights right now, but it's something that me and my wife always wanted kids, and we're just blessed to be able to have a healthy baby, and
That's right.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you over here with us, so you know, when I see you come in from work, right? You know, I think of the moment when I found out that you know, Treese was pregnant, right? And I was working for the recreation department, right? So I'm come in the morning, I'm like, yeah, I'm so pumped up, man. They say, what is wrong with him? He's like, oh yeah, his wife is pregnant, he's gonna have a baby. Oh, okay. You know, I have the baby, go to 2 weeks off, you know, and I go back in and I'm dragging and you know, and they said, what's wrong with him? He had the baby, you know. So when I see you come in the house, man, I was like, oh yeah, he had the baby.
Nah, yeah. Definitely. And it's funny, I get to check in all day. They're like, oh, Lainey's sleeping. Somehow when I walk through the door, he is up. She's up for a while after that.
Oh man, yeah.
Adjustment. I'm getting there.
Yeah,
You're gonna make it.
Well, you know, it's a process. I mean, in life, most people don't want to go through process. You know, you hear mom always say, man, if I knew grandparenting would be like this, I would skip the children. You know, but you can't. You know, but you can, it's impossible to do. It's nice to say, you know, it's nice to say, but hey, you got to go through the process, or you know.
And there's a process for everything. You say that, and I still ain't fully okay with it, but I said if I would have had kids earlier, right, to see how much you guys love your grandkids, I just think that it would have gave my parents a little more life and they would have been here longer. But I can't dwell on that because it's a process, right? And I'm gonna ask Steve a question too. I ain't trying to step on your toes there.
Yeah.
But speak to how blessed you and I am to have the village that we have with like the Pogues and the Moors.
Yeah, I mean, we and I speak for both of us. I don't think we'd be able to do what we do without them. You know, that's important. You know, we were lucky enough, Dakari and I, to marry into a wonderful family, a big family, which is something that I wasn't accustomed to. And it took some adjustment, right? Like being around so many people all the time, and I'm used to like 2 or 3. But it's been amazing, and just to speak to kind of what Dakari just talking about, my parents, I've noticed a change in them too. Like I've talked to my parents more in this last month than I have in years. You know, I have 2 loving parents, and we talk, but you know, maybe it was once every few days or so. But now it's like I'm getting yelled at if I don't call every 2 hours. Like,
yeah,
all this, and what's she doing right now? What are we doing there? And da da da. So it's been great to see them kind of transition into their new roles too. And they're attacking it. You know, everybody, the Moore family has been super supportive. My mother, I called her 2 days ago, said, hey, I need you to come up here this week to help. Well, she booked a flight within an hour. So she's all in on it. So it's just it takes a village. I don't think my wife and I would be able to do it without everybody's support. And that's even Uncle Dakari. Uncle Dakari will come over and I need a break. I'll hold it.
I know how it is.
I'll hold it for an hour. You guys go upstairs, and so that's everybody's been super supportive, and we truly appreciate it.
And you guys have shown such a close knit, large family. And he spoke to that, but we're not used to that as well. But connected too, because my immediate family is far, and they always been away from me. My family is big, but there's a side of them that I don't know. And I do want to give a little homage, just in case they listening. We do have TTBB, and we got Guy Mama Lakia and Bitsy and Aunt Bruni and the cousin Michelle. All of them are there as well, right?
Mhm.
But you know,
yeah. I mean, you know, that's why we live for family, man. I don't know what people live for, but you know, if I didn't have this family, I would find a family to get into. Because I mean, you know, you can't do it alone, man. I mean, it's just, you know, I was thinking like some people saying like we had an experience, and I did enjoy it. Let me say I did enjoy it. we had an experience. It was a moment. I think Sherelle was away. Michelle had moved into her new place, and Isaiah went off to college, right? And Lozy was in California, right? And they always talk about we have an empty nest, right? And it was like me and mom had a moment, and we come home from work or whatever, and we were like, yeah, what we want to do? We could go get something to eat, right? We can run. Let's go to the movies. We just could go,
do anything,
right? Let's go here, and we had a moment, of emptiness, and yeah, and it's cool for a while, and then if one day you're sitting in there and it's the two of you, and it's great because we long as we there, the two of us, we can get up, we can roll, but if you sitting in the house, and I had a moment the other couple of weeks ago when nobody was in the house. Lozy was away, Isaiah went away on a trip, nobody was here. Sherelle and Steve were in the hospital. Treese was with them, at the hospital as they were giving birth, right? And I'm sitting in the house and I'm thinking like, hey, what's that noise? This house started making sounds and stuff, man, while I'm in here, man. And I'm thinking like, ain't nobody in the house with me, man. I mean, you know how lonely that is to be in the house and it's just you, man. But so when people are alive in the house, right, it's just powerful. Family is just powerful, and and we're building families. I mean, and I mentioned, you'll hear at the end of this, I got a little thing I'll do at the end of this, but man, I'm glad you guys man, enjoying this process, man. I wanted to encourage you guys, man, to enjoy this. This is the best life, man.
Man, people say that all the time, right? We met my wife the other day at a meeting, and one of the principals was like, I don't miss those days. And I was like, thank you for being honest. Everybody's like, oh, I miss those days. I'm like, man, these days are long. It's only 24 hours, but it feels like at least 32. But I am enjoying. People do tell me enjoy. And,
well, if I can say this to you, right? And they were long for us too, as well. They were long and challenging, because you hope that your parents got you to a point where they can say, I'm good. I can relax. I'm good. He know what he doing. He ain't gonna do. He ain't doing nothing crazy. So and they see us. Your parents see you go out and you do.
I remember
right. And it's almost like it's like life is giving birth, right? And we're on the outside looking at your wife going through a process, transformation of a body, a mind, and all kind of things like that. And then we watch the side that gives birth, and then the joy, like all it was worth it, the joy of seeing that little one, right? That you say to yourself, like they've never been, like they've always been here. It's like they're here now. Like, oh shoot, can you remember yourself without? Right. And then there's another process that happens too, that you guys have yet to experience, which is, and it's long and it's tedious, of going through schools and colleges and watching them graduate. And then finally, right, something relieves in you when they good, right? When they got their careers and they're going, and then it doesn't happen to them, right? And I say this, they keep coming back. They just,
I think we all could speak on that. And I know Steve, I know for a fact you think about this, but we all have daughters. And just like what Mr. Bostic was talking about, and even Dakota, I had to already accept certain things when they get of age. But going through school and the influences of classmates and whatever those classmates are experiencing at home or whatever they get to watch on TV, and coming home and having to debunk all of the myths, or you don't say those words, you don't do this. It's hard. Like I don't dwell on it because it's not here yet. But if you thought about, and Dad, you're the only one that could probably speak to it. How did you get okay with that? Like the things of the world, like you raised your daughters well, very respectful, very, they knew their wealth. They had a firm foundation. Nobody's perfect, but when it came to me proposing to Michelle, it was like she knew what she wanted, and I had to come correct. I always tell the young guys that I meet, my nieces and my family, I say, you got the power to demand anything you want from from the men, because we're going to pursue. And certain females be like, I can't believe he said that. He said it, and it was okayed by a female. Like, there's certain things that we like, what did he say? How did he, what? It's been okayed. All we need is one. So if one girl accepts your pants hanging off, you smoking reefer, whatever the case, reefer. I sound old. If one female accepted it, then he's gonna try it and keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
But how?
I think this is we need another whole show on this one.
we could do daddy daughter thing. We could do that.
Yeah,
later.
we need that needs to be another, because that's stressful.
Yeah.
And then my wife and I, we gotta hope like that and many people have laid a foundation. Let me be honest. People have laid foundations for their kids, right? With the hope that they're going to make, and we always say, make a good decision, right? We hope that we had laid the right foundation. And I mean, I don't know any of the integral choices or things that they may have attempted to try, because I know I'm thinking about me, things that I've tried or tests that I've gone through, whether it was in high school or college, right? We know nobody perfect, right? So you got to hope that when they make the choices, they're not detrimental. They don't send them into a tailspin. And you got to hope that they're able to say no when it's time to say no, and yes when it's time to say yes, and then kind of move on, But yeah, it is. It that's a challenge all by itself, and another conversation. Steve, any final words? We're gonna be a little bit longer here because it's Father's Day.
That's right.
Yeah, it's Father's Day, and so Steve, any final words before we get your significant other in here for a few minutes?
The show's gonna look a lot more prettier now.
Yeah, so we got Hartley down here. So any final thoughts, Steve?
No, just thank you again for having me on, and all the lessons and the talks that we have, and the mentorship. It's second to none. So we just appreciate everybody, and we love all y'all.
Oh, thank you, Takari. Any final?
Man, it's Father's Day, right?
Yeah. Who gave that boy his birthday gift already?
Give all the fathers, all the dads, like we said,
take that and play.
Be present, right? I don't care how old your child is.
Play.
You have time.
Play that.
You have time.
I'm gonna play.
As long as they're still living.
Play the puzzles.
A little bit later.
I would say, like, for example, whatever. P Diddy has all his baby mothers together, right? And it's from love. And only the love of Christ could allow you to push through and endure whatever headache you feel like your baby mama's giving you, but you do not want to miss out on this.
Yes.
You don't want to miss out
on
what we spoke about today.
Okay.
So if you're not currently present, try to be present.
I'll take the draw.
Try to be present.
I'll take the draw.
Yeah, you can take the draw.
I'll take the draw.
Just be present. Be present. Whatever time that's allowed. I know a lot of guys, we are frowned upon in the judicial system, but that's how it is. It's going to be tough. Everything is tough. Men, everything is tough. But if we cry, we weep, but cry through it and be there for your little ones. You got to. I can't speak out about it enough. Like, I don't care if your son or daughter is 30 years old. There's still time. There's still time.
Yeah. Awesome. So we had Dakota. I had Dakota, and Hartley's over there, and we got Lainey right down there, knocked out, doing her daddy impression.
What she does best.
Yeah.
I want to sing.
You want to sing? Hold on.
What you gonna sing?
No.
Hold on.
What you gonna sing?
Wait, Cody, what's tomorrow?
The one your birthday.
Your birthday. You gonna be 3. Well, we gotta get moms in here. Where the moms at? So we're gonna change places here. Daddy's gonna take the little ones, and we're gonna get moms here real quick so we can close out. Don't. Uh-oh. Daddy. See Daddy?
Oh, you was gonna hold
it? Hold on. Where's your puzzles at? Where's your puzzle? All right. Come on, let's go get go open your puzzles. Say that's from Gigi and Pop. That's your birthday gifts. Okay, go get the puzzle. Well, I got my daughters in here, and real quick, just want to ask you guys a couple of questions about you got husbands, but we want to talk. Just if you could talk to the audience about them as fathers.
This is my lesson.
And I know with Sherelle is just starting.
Yeah.
But you Michelle, 4 years. Yeah, 2 little ones. Sherelle, right? You've been married a year, right? Married a year, and you have a little girl. So talk about the father since it's father.
Okay. I guess I could say that he's been an exceptional dad. I got a chance to hear a little bit of the show, and he does more than, in my opinion, average dads do. I do, not like I say required, but
Yeah, some things are required. There is with fatherhood, there is a requirement, right? And yeah.
I mean, I think that the fact that he keeps them during the day while I'm at work is just already a testament to what they will be able to speak to when they get older. They're going to remember how much time we spent with them. And while not only is he like just a dad, by like taking care of them, he's also the dad that takes care of the things in the household. So also like making sure the laundry is done, making sure the house is clean. So I have to say, like, he's definitely been going above and beyond. And I commend him because, I'm the one that's usually working during the day. And so I have 2 fathers figures in my kids' lives. And so like when he's not there, you're there. And I feel like there's nothing to be worried about. Like I can work without distraction. I can work without concern, knowing that they are in great hands and they drive him crazy. He then is exhausted by the time I get home, and then he goes to work. And I don't even know how he keeps his eyes open for the job. So I have to say quality experience and quality effort. I told him yesterday, like, you've been a great father. No one else tells you. So.
Sherelle. this is your husband's first. Well, it was you didn't get a first Mother's Day yet, but I mean, but he getting the first Father's Day. So talk about your husband Steve, and it's only 3 weeks now, but
4.
4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's been doing a great job. I mean, he's back to work now, so I think that it's been definitely a transition for him, for both of us, being new parents and trying to adjust our sleeping patterns and trying to communicate with each other and figure out what's best for Lainey. So, I mean, I think it's in terms of that, like he's been doing a great job, and it's so early for us. We're still trying to figure some things out and about how to be parents. We just started being parents literally like a month ago. So, so I do think it's an adjustment period, but so far so good. I think he's doing a great job, and like I know it's not easy. So I give a lot of credit to him and what he's doing right now in terms of traveling back and forth to work and then having to come home and still be a parent to Lainey. I think he's doing a great job.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Any other final Father's Day comments or anything?
Well, happy Father's Day to you, Daddy.
Oh, thank you.
Happy
Appreciate
Father's Day to you. Yes.
I was gonna say he was our father first, so I mean, you led the way in teaching us, what it's like to have a father and to be present and to be a mentor for us, for young women, but watching you and Mom be able to be parents to other people's children, I think kind of prepared us to be parents as well.
Yeah.
I would add that, well, definitely happy Father's Day to you, but the fact that you are really like doing a tremendous job as Pop. And if my kids could, well, they probably can. If I asked them to say happy Father's Day, they would to you. But I know that it means a lot to them. And I think it's like, it's unfortunate, but fortunate that you ended up retiring right at a time where Cody was born. It's like absolutely perfect because you get to be the Pop that I couldn't even imagine. So thank you for all the time that you dedicate to my children, and also for the father that you are, who showed us what great men are and what we could have, and that helped us not settle for anything less than what you've offered us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, I ain't trying to do no crying in here, but well, thank you. I appreciate that. Wanted you to come on and talk about your husbands as fathers, man. That was really nice, and hopefully it's helpful to. This has been helpful to individuals out there. As we come to a close, we're in a little bit over time. We're going to still go a little bit over time because I got a final video here. As we close out, I will not be returning back. I'm in the show right here. So I want to honor and salute all those fathers that have been responsible. I want to say, they're the fathers that give birth to biological children. I want to say thank you for all that you do for your children, but I want to pay tribute to also, there's a lot of men out there who have taken on children that are not their own, right? And they have become really responsible fathers. I mean, they've helped those young people grow up, and now they're being called dad, and they should be, because they've sacrificed, and they could have been out doing anything they want to do, right, with their lives, and they're not worried about taking care of their kids. But can you spend 18, 19 years or 20 years, following a young woman or a young man and see them become parents themselves, man, it's just an awesome adventure, man. And so we pay tribute to those who take the place of the absentee father, and all those who coach and who mentor young people, man. We salute you today, man. And it is our responsibility as men, as fathers, for those who or the mentors or coaches who are doing those things, to do those things. That's a part of our responsibility, is to help where it is needed. Because I mean, scripturally it says that we should take care of the widows and the orphans. And sometimes when they back in the day, orphans means absentee, children without parents, children without fathers, right? That we should be responsible for those orphans, for those kids that need our help the most, right? And for those widows, those who have lost their husbands, right? And need support. So I want to say congratulations to those fathers, right? And to those mentors and to those coaches. And I want to wish each and every one of you a happy Father's Day. And check this out, right? You are simply the best. And enjoy Father's Day tomorrow, right? And I have this final video for you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. I got a rescheduled guest. My guest, Richard Dolphin, who had an emergency a week ago, is coming back next weekend. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. Enjoy this video. God bless you, and I love you. And I say each and every week, if God allows you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. A letter to fathers. Growing up with my mom and dad was awesome in the beginning. But something happened, but I can't quite remember what. But things were different. Things changed. Before I knew it, my mom and dad were separated when I was about 10 years old. What happened to me had become a consistent pattern for many of my family members. Absentee fathers, single parent mothers. As I thought about the future, I said to myself, I would never get married and have children if this would be the result. Then I had a change of heart. I said, man, I can't wait to get married and have children. And my children will never experience what me and many of my family members had experienced as a child. The journey started in 1983 when I got married and we had our first daughter, Michelle. A few years later, we had our daughter, Sherelle. And a few years later, we had my son, my oldest son, Lowe's III. And a few years later, we had Isaiah. Laugh out loud. I thank God for helping me to make the right decision to get married to my best friend, an amazing woman, wife, and mother. She gave us the gift of 4 children, 4 awesome children, 3 grandchildren. I wish I could say that it ended there, but it didn't. As a black man, we can't just think about our biological children when there are so many children that are out there without fathers. So, to name a couple of our children, I'll start with Omar, who has 4 children, and my godson, Jamal, who has 2 children, which brings our grand total of grandchildren to 9. God is so amazing, and my wife and I are so blessed. I wish I could say that it was over, but I can't. For what about our godchildren? I wish I could say it was over there, but my wife and I have so many young people that we have coached and mentored at the Boys and Girls Club, etc. Sorry, but there are too many to name. But I think you get the point. Think about, well, I often think about what would happen if I had made a decision not to have children. I believe I would have missed a tremendous blessing. So at the end, I say, Happy Father's Day.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.